Well, that was strange.
Nice. Nice. Lost the background.
I think Emilio got in here pushing a bunch of buttons, and all of a sudden,
what do you do it live?
Tim, should we are live, by the way. We got Jacob joining us now.
Jacob, we are live. We're live.
We're live, sir.
Really live?
3 times.
Yes.
We're live, Jacob. We're live. All right.
We have no background, though. Oh, there we go.
Let's do that. Let's go with that one. How about that clear day at Lambeau? So, welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Emilio in Tennessee. We got Jacob in Wisconsin, ready to talk some Packers. Full disclosure, we were in here pre-show, and Emilio pushed a couple buttons.
I touched
all of a sudden we hit go live and everything went all to hell. Tim, is that how you remember this thing shaking out?
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. Had me feeling like Ben Johnson,
Get ready to go.
Oh, man. So, obviously, the chat's filling in here. Hopefully, everybody had an awesome day. As we had Packers football out at OTAs today, man. I don't know about you guys, but it felt pretty darn good seeing that ball being winged around the yard and getting the press conference from Matt LaFleur. Got some media availability at the locker, it looked like, there with Jordan and some of the other guys. So we got plenty to talk about. As we always like to do here, well, let me kind of lay out what we're going to do. We're going to talk offense first in the first half of the show. Then we'll talk defense in the second half of the show and just kind of where people lined up, who got the reps, who didn't. Full disclosure, it doesn't mean this is where these guys are going to be playing. It doesn't mean these are going to be the starters. You know how this shakes out. And we'll talk a little injury update as well. Before we dive into it all, does anybody got anything they want to hit right here off the bat in terms of OTAs or just anything else in general?
I'd like to hit Emilio. You know what I mean? I'll tell you what.
I didn't even do anything, Jacob. It was not me. I hit one button. And the whole
Sit your butt outside.
Oh, man. Let's see here. Respect Orange just getting to start off. We're going to start offense anyway, so let's start with this comment here. It says, Marshawn Lloyd still not active. This makes me worried. You know, when I heard he wasn't active today, it did kind of pique my interest a little bit too, and I thought maybe I misunderstood. It sounds like Respect Orange just saw the same thing I seen. Man, I mean, you talk about a guy with some bad luck. If I remember correctly, he had a hammy last year. He also, I want to say he had an ankle as well. When he got ready to come back from injury, he ended up having his appendix basically rupture and had to have emergency surgery, right? I don't know what to think, guys. We can go around the horn with that. Does anybody got any inside information there in terms of why he wasn't on the field today or what may have happened?
I'm seeing in the chat that too old for this. His opinion is I'm not worried. It's one day of OTAs, probably precautionary. Respect Orange did follow up with a comment saying it is precautionary. I haven't gotten a chance to dive into I got to listen to LaFleur's press conference. I didn't get to listen to any of the other ones that I'd like to, so I don't know if they highlighted that in any of those. I think it's a little bit troublesome for sure, just because the guy's had, like you said, just terrible luck. I don't think it's a matter of him being prepared or trying to give it his all. So, the one thing I will say is, boy, it's nice to have a lot of guys in that running back room that I trust already, though,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything else, gents?
I mean, even it being precautionary means there's cause for concern, right? There's a reason they're taking those precautions. So I don't know if I'd be full on worried right now. Great point there. It's day one of OTAs. And, if this is going into training camp and we're saying the same thing, now I'm going to be a little bit worried for sure. But to Jacob's point, man, there's depth in that running back room. I don't think any of us should be, overly worried right now.
Not worried about it. Pretty sure his the trait they had him on Madden was a day one starter, so we're good to go. We don't need to worry about it.
That's all that matters, right? All right, let's start this thing off with one thing I like about OTAs is you begin to all the storylines that unfolded through the offseason, you begin to one by one get to kind of put them to bed or figure out, okay, is there really something here? Okay. Before we dive into the Jaden Reed situation, let's talk about the players who were not in attendance today, okay? And there may be more than this, but the three that I was concerned about were obviously Jair Alexander, who was not here today. It's not a huge surprise. I kind of think it's good news that he wasn't there today, and let me explain what I mean by that. When he does show up, he's going to be kind of forcing the Packers' hand a little bit. They're going to want him to not participate Obviously, we've talked about this ad nauseum, and I'll try to be quick. If he gets hurt while he's in the facility, then they're going to be on the hook. Let's say he gets hurt and he's out for the entire year. They're going to be on the hook for that entire salary. Yeah. So what they're trying to do is get that contract restructured to where if something does happen, they're not going to be on the hook for as much money, right, in terms of guaranteed all that. It would be more of an incentive-based type thing. Now, Matt Schneidman said he could show up as early as the mandatory minicamp in June. So that's why I'm like, okay, this to me, and we'll go around the horn with it, it kind of feels like Jair's giving the Packers a little bit of space, like, hey, let's work this contract out before I come in and it gets – because when he shows up, the rubber's going to meet the road. They got to make a decision now because they can't keep him out of the facility. I mean, they can keep him out of the facility, I guess, but they've got to pay him that workout bonus, right? And obviously, Goody has been very vocal. If he's not going to be on the team, they want compensation. And if he is going to be on the team, they want it at a different – they want to do something that makes sense for both parties, I guess. That's basically what Goody is kind of quoted as saying. So am I seeing it different than you guys? Let's start with you, Jacob. Do you kind of see it the same way? Does it to me, it feels like it's good news he didn't come in and force their hand right off the bat.
Yeah, I would agree with that summarization. Let me ask a question. It might be a stupid one. Are they able to just waive the requirement for him to come in for the workout bonus and just give it to him and say, hey, bro, we appreciate you wanting to come in. Give us, like you said, maybe a few more weeks to buffer this out. In the meantime, we don't want to risk and say it in a way where it's like, hey, Ja, we don't want to risk you coming in here and getting hurt because we want you in our future. We want to just have a little more time to make sure that we've got all our T's crossed and I's dotted. So if you'll accept this money, we're not trying to raw dog here or nothing like that. We actually want to give you a chance to come in here. And
I love Jacob's lingo, man.
and just honestly try to be as respectful with it, but at the same time covering your rear end, because if God forbid something were to happen and you like you said, man, if he gets twist that ankle, twist the knee wrong, and all of a sudden we don't have Ja for 17 more games, 18 more weeks, whatever you want to say. That's going to be devastating, especially if he gets that money out of there.
I think that's what their goal was with offering him the restructured deal, and it's up to him to sign it. You know what I mean? Like that was their step in that direction. I'm holding on to hope. I agree with what Clayton said, like the fact that he's not there and he's not holding their feet to the fire right away from day one is probably a good sign that maybe that, there's a possibility that he just, signs the rework deal and plays this year. I think Ja's definitely the type of guy that if he's going to come into the facility, it's going to be to work and, be focused on playing football. And until they sort this out, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not near the facility, for the time being. We talk about June workouts, mandatory workouts. I mean, what is that? 2.5 weeks? Are we talking like, 3, not even 3 weeks from now? So it sounds further away than it really is. So, a lot can change in a very little bit of time here. We just got to stay tuned, I guess.
Yeah, right. And we'll hold whoever marked that Greg Rice comment. We'll hold that for the Edgerrin Cooper segment because I'm eager to see who that is as well. Go ahead, Emilio. Sorry.
No. I was just all I was going to say is, what is him showing up now going to do? Besides show us that he's into it. I really don't need him out there getting the snaps. It's not like he needs the reps right this second. And like he did before, he was sticking to his own workout plan because he doesn't need to be there for, hey, this is how we're going to kind of run the practice. This is what you're going to do in your sprints. When you go to your team drills, this is what you're going to do and stuff like that. So I think we'll be good for a couple of weeks until we really want to see him in there.
And hearing Mark Tauscher talk about this, which obviously it's amazing how many fans want to disagree with Tauscher on stuff. And it's like the dude was a player rep. He played in the NFL and he was a player rep for the year. I think he understands how these things operate, right? But he was kind of making it sound like they can't prevent him from coming in. They can limit on the physical activity, but he's under contract, so he can somewhat kind of force the envelope a little bit. Now, how far does he want to go? And at that point, maybe the team does have some kind of back door that they can use and be like, hey, this is detrimental to the team. Stay away. And again, this is just all speculation. Nobody's saying the team's going to do this. Nobody's saying Ja is trying to do that. To me, it feels like the alternative, like Ja is trying to do the right thing and, hey, let's get this thing worked out. until I come in, before I come in. So, yeah, and I'm with whoever said it in the chat there. I don't think he's going to turn around. I think it was Christian. I don't think he's going to turn down $500K or whatever the bonus is, right? If they say, hey, we'll pay you, just kind of hang loose for a minute. So, all right. So the next player that was missing was Elgton Jenkins. Okay. This one I'm more concerned about than Jair. And the reason being is, if it were me, I would try to meet in the middle there with Elgton and give him a little more guaranteed money rather than just play hardball and go, no, we're not giving you another dime. And there's a lot riding on him playing center. We kind of ignored it this off. We've ignored it the last 3 off seasons where I was looking up, and you guys know if you watch the show or listen to the pod, I'm going, man, Josh Myers ain't it. We need to find the center of the future. It's a tier 2 position on my chart. I know many people disagree with that. It sounds like the NFL sees guard position is more important than center, and I just don't see it that way. I see center way more important than guard, personally. But with that being said, Elgton Jenkins not in-house. It's obviously it's a contractual thing, but and it is just OTAs. Maybe I'm overreacting a little bit, but that's the one that ruffles me a little bit. Like, oh man, we need to get him in there because you want to start creating that unity. You know what I mean? Like that unity across the offensive line. I think that could be a real problem. I don't know, Emilio, what do you think, man? Are you concerned about Elgton not being here? Or do you think, hey, Clayton, chill out? We ain't even the mandatory.
I'm still 2 weeks out on Elgton too, man. I give him time to work the contract. It's not like it's going to crush him to not get those couple reps. Extra 100 or so reps, whatever it is. Obviously, I'd love for him to be there, but at this very second, no, I'm more concerned with, getting it squared away so that he can come in ready to play. And I think that, he wants to be here. He wants to play. He just wants to make sure he gets his funds because, like you said, coming on 30, you got to get that squared away before you commit to moving inside, potentially taking less money and all that. But, I'm not too worried right this second.
Chris the Casual In says Elgton knows he's got major leverage. Major. I agree. And I know some people would say that's dirty pool, but hey, it's a business, when they're depending on you moving the center, you've got some leverage, and the reality is he's approaching 30 and this is his last bite at the apple, most likely, in terms of if history. Kind of dictates what's going to happen here. So, Jacob, what do you think, man? You worried about Elgton or no?
Yes, I am, just because of the fact that he is supposed to be one of the, if not the major leader on that offensive line, just his types of seniority, of him being able to play multiple positions, him being a early round draft pick, being kind of a staple in the community. It's troublesome, but I don't know if it's necessarily as big of a deal like Tim and Emilio highlighted. It's early. I think this is more of a bargaining chip than anything. And again, the leverage is there. It's true. He's got the upper hand. He's got the hand. And I understand what he's done, because if I'm in his shoes, you draft me and I'm a plug and play guard. Then you kick me out to tackle when you need to. You restructure contracts. I agree to play for this. Then you kick me back to guard. Then you say you want to throw me into center. And if I'm him, I'm just looking at, hey, those salaries are all different for as far as what the average salary for a starting left tackle is, a starting guard, starting center. And you're getting up to be, around 30. You start thinking about longevity. And so I understand. I think out of all of them, I understand maybe Elton's plight a little more than the rest, but I'm still hopeful that we're going to get that squared away.
Yeah, Ed Madden in the chat says, I don't think they'll play hard ball with Elgton. I think they're working out the contract, takes time. I hope you're right, and I can see that playing out that way too, Tim, but are you concerned at all, man?
A little bit. I'm kind of 50-50 on this one. I agree with Jacob's point, and it is true. I mean, Big E's got a little bit of leverage here, and I think what Ed Madden's saying there is true. I don't think the Packers are going to try and play too much hardball. This might drag out a little longer than any of us would like, but I think they'll get something worked out. I really do.
And the other player that I was a little concerned about, which it kind of got put to bed the other day when Matt had mentioned he's already there, is Romeo Doubs. So it sounds like Rome has been there. He's helping Matthew Golden. He's participating in everything. Although I didn't see his name mentioned much today, but it sounds like he is there and participating.
I just caught the ball.
Good to go there. So that's great news. So again, just want to kind of give an update. Those are the people that are missing to the best of my knowledge. I don't think there's anyone else. Obviously, that doesn't include anyone who may be banged up with injuries or anything like that. But again, just going to keep our ear to the streets there when it comes to Elgton Jenkins and Jair Alexander. And again, OTA, when is, mandatory minicamp, when is that coming up?
June 10th, I believe.
Okay.
It should be popping up on the ticker here on the bottom of the screen.
Right around the corner for sure. So good stuff. All right, Tim, if you'll give me a Matt LaFleur screen grab, we're going to talk a little Jayden Reed here. All right. And this was Matt LaFleur earlier today talking at the press conference, and he was asked about Jayden Reed. And then we're going to hear from Jayden Reed as well. And just got a quick little update. You guys know the whole situation with Jayden Reed, the Adam Schefter tweet that all of a sudden Adam Schefter walked that back really, really quick. You'll remember how that all unfolded. Basically saying that Drew Rosenhaus, Jayden Reed's agent, had told Adam Schefter he met with the Packers to discuss Jayden Reed's role, and it was confirmed he is the wide receiver number one, kind of paraphrasing there, which was really weird because you know Matt LaFleur didn't say, yeah, he's our wide receiver one like that. They don't see their offense that way. Nonetheless, Matt LaFleur was asked about Adam Schefter's report on Jayden Reed's agent questioning Brian Gutekunst on his role in the offense. Here's what Matt LaFleur had to say about it today.
Just about apparently clarifying where he stands.
I didn't even know about that. I saw the report, had no idea. So I know nothing about it. I haven't had a conversation about it. No.
Okay. How do you think he's been?
He's been outstanding. I tell you what, it's a special group, and I think not only the rooks that we have coming in here, just being around them now for a couple of weeks, I think it's a high character group, which is always important to us, and they approach it the right way. But I've been really impressed with our veterans taking these guys under their wings and kind of showing them the way and really helping them, coaching them. That's one of the emphasis of this offseason, I would say, is just trying to make sure that we're developing leaders, especially when you have a younger team. You want to make sure that you have leaders, and those guys have taken it to heart. And, Jayden's been instrumental. I think a lot of these guys, him, Rome, Christian's out there, even though he can't be out, physically doing a lot of the activities. He's been outstanding. Wicks, all these guys, Bo Melton, Malik, I see him always coaching. And it's not just the wide receiver unit. It's really been across the board.
All right. So there you go. There was Matt LaFleur, obviously, talking about the situation. Now let's move on to what Jayden Reed had to say. Then I want to get everybody's reaction, and then we'll kind of cover the details, the important details of the drama, as I put on the Patreon group, because it feels like a big nothing burger. Give me one more screen grab here, Tim, just in case somebody uploads this to their YouTube channel and we get hit. So appreciate you, buddy. Here we go. Here was Jayden Reed asked about the situation. I wish you guys could see the facial expressions because he was side-eyeing and grinning. It's obviously nothing to him, but here we go.
With all that said, was there anything that you felt you wanted to have clarified after how this offseason went?
I mean, not necessarily. That's what our exit meetings are for. That's why I talked to Coach, and that's why I talked to Matt. That's why I talked to Graves, Steno. Everybody. I've been talking to Goody. So, all that stuff for us. We have those conversations. We clarify what we need to clarify in house. So, I don't think any of that is. I think all that is done in house, and we clarify what I need to get better at. What they want from me and everything, and I'm here to just do my job and take care of those things.
Were you watching the draft?
Yeah, no doubt. Yep.
What'd you think when you saw receiver?
Listen right here. Listen what he says.
I thought it was. I mean, honestly, if you want to be real, I knew we were taking the receiver. We kind of talked about it.
It's like I knew we were taking a receiver. I love it, dude.
In house a little bit, so I kind of already knew that was gonna happen. So, it was great. I mean, the whole, him being here, that was crazy. It being in Green Bay, that was a surreal moment, I know, for him, because, I know when I got the call and it was my birthday, it was crazy. But him being here live, I know that was crazy. So, and then Savion as well, great player, dynamic, playmaker. So that's another great piece to this offense. That's what we need. We need more playmakers that can help us win on Sundays.
I'm telling you, dude, Jayden Reed's a damn leader, bro. bro. There's no two ways about it. I love that.
Yep.
And that's why I about lost my mind in the offseason when so many fans were like going at him like he was this big liability last year. I'm like, what are we even talking about? Anyway, let's get everybody's reactions. Go around the horn. We'll start with, I don't care who goes first here. I don't remember who I started with last time. I apologize, but you guys fire away.
I'll go first. Sew the damn C on its chest already. Let's go.
Seriously.
Like, for real. Enough of this, musical chairs, new captains every week nonsense. I think Bird deserves it. Clearly a leader, not just on offense, but in the locker room. And, he's a vocal guy when he needs to be, but he's definitely, example driven, leads by example in his work ethic. And clearly this whole, all this drama was a nothing burger, really. And it sounds like everybody's focus. We heard the whole wide receiver room come into question at certain points during this whole drama. And it's like, there really doesn't seem to be a major issue. I think people would like there to be because, it gets you clicks and it's good for your blog and good for your posts. But I don't think there's anything here. And glad to see that Jayden Reed is really coming into his own here going into year 3. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Jacob, I was listening to that PFF podcast, and the dude was going through quarterback wide receiver combos, and he had because he had to pick one wide receiver, right? He had Jordan Love and Jayden Reed 12th, ahead of Josh Allen. Obviously, there were some others. We were just ahead of Kansas City, just behind the Chargers. So I'm not mad at that. And if you have to pick one wide receiver right now, it probably is Jayden Reed. Just, the way he's carrying it, the way he's moving forward with it, helping out the young guys. I think that, we're in good shape with where Reed is at right now. And just, getting past this, we just hopped onto this idea of, new news out of Jayden Reed. You got to jump on that kind of stuff in the off season. But I think it's not going to be, too big once season starts.
Yeah, I think what's more impressive is that he knows how to handle the media when the media is being a bunch of, just absolute, just dorks. And you can tell that they're trying to set the dude up. They're trying to set him up so that he can maybe, and I shouldn't say they're trying to set him up. I should say that Shefty probably got a little over his skis. He clearly realized that he had a nothing burger. Then he tried to back it up and remain professional. Then that though sparks the fire that the local media and the national media are going to just feed on that. That's a feeding frenzy. And had Jayden Reed not been able to keep his poise, to almost kind of brush off the way that they're asking the questions, like, bro, it's nothing. Like, I literally got a new agent. He touched base. We have our end of the year meetings. They tell me what I got to do better on. I'm here now. I'm helping the young guys. And then the biggest thing that shocked me was that, we all knew we were going to draft a guy. He literally said they talked about it, which to me does two things in my brain. It makes me wonder, like, what was there a little more talks about knowing that Golden was going to get taken? And if so, like how that factors into the draft and all that. And then, 2, did they learn something from the quote unquote mistake of not letting Aaron Rodgers in on certain conversations and just saying, hey, we're drafting your replacement, just so you know that, by the way, in the first round, have you? I have to imagine that even if they wouldn't admit it, that has to be in the back of their mind, like, hey, there's a better way to have maybe handled the situation. And even if the guy pretends he's in the mountains and doesn't get cell service, we have to at least make more of an effort to be like, no, we contacted him. We tried at least.
I think at the very least, it shows that, the front office was pretty open and with communicating to the offense and to the receivers, right? You heard Bird say that, I talked to Goody. I wonder if Goody picked up the phone and said, hey, Jayden, we're taking a receiver in the first round. Don't let it ruffle your feathers, Bird. It's all good. You're still the man. Let's just continue to get better. And lo and behold, we ended up taking 2 pretty early in the draft. So I think it's cool that everybody seems to be embracing, the new guys and their new roles and their ever-changing roles on this offense. So yeah, definitely a nothing burger for sure.
And I want to say about the media coverage in terms of the local media, when Adam Schefter tweeted that out, there was nobody, and I mean nobody, to the best of my knowledge, is like, this is nothing. The way he tweeted that out was like, oh, crap, are you serious? Jayden Reed, really? And then he immediately goes on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy the next day and starts backpedaling like a damn all-pro corner. And it was like, okay, hold up a minute. And then I remember Wildy specifically, because Schefter tried to throw the local media under the bus. Like the local guys kind of blew this out of proportion. Like, hold up a minute. We all read the same tweet. What are you talking about? So I guess my opinion is Schefter's the one who came out with egg on his face. He looked silly in this whole thing. And I'll just read this it's a quick little write-up I did just to kind of give my opinion, and then we'll move on. Jayden Reed clarified that his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, planned meeting with the Green Bay Packers was not driven by concerns about his role, despite the team drafting a wide receiver in the first round after 23 years. After the Packers picked Matthew Golden at 22 and Savion Williams in the third round, a source told ESPN's Adam Schefter that Rosenhaus sought to confirm Reed's status. Per ESPN's Rob Demovsky, the team assured him the draft picks wouldn't affect Reed's position as a top receiver. Now, I want to say this. Adam Schefter's source was Drew Rosenhaus. This was Drew Rosenhaus trying to puff his chest up a little bit, and Adam Schefter said, hey, let me get a tweet out there, get some little engagement forming here, and it smacked him right in the rear end is what happened. So it's one of those situations. You guys know when you were back in school, when you were young and dumb, there was always someone that was running that mouth, and when the crap hit the fan, it was what huh? No, I didn't mean that. What do you mean? You know, the confrontation at the locker in between classes, we all seen that happen a time or 12, right?
Yeah.
And everybody loses that energy. So
or like when Emilio says, I got a girlfriend, and then they're like, where is she? And he goes, she goes to another school.
Right. Always goes to the other school. Never in the same district. You know what I mean, Jacob?
It's tough, man.
Yeah, let me get my pump real quick. Let me get my air pump. I'll show you my girlfriend. So people misunderstood Reed. Said what Reed said post OTA. My new agent Rosenhaus planned to align with the front office pre-draft. It was routine, but somehow it leaked. I want to check with the agent there, Burgess. Man, people form their own views, and that's fine. Reed led the Packers in catches and yards the past 2 seasons, though they've lacked a true number 1 receiver since trading Devontae Adams in 2022. His production fell late in the season while dealing with injuries. Now, listen to this. This was some new information that I got today that I didn't even realize. Maybe I'm just so far out there. I'm too stupid to realize this was on the surface the entire time. So he was dealing with an ankle. We talked about that. A dislocated shoulder. We briefly mentioned that. He actually tore his labrum, it sounds like, in the playoff loss to the Eagles. So he had to rehab from that. No surgery was needed. And it sounds like it showed no issues at OTA, signaling he's fully recovered from all those injuries. So he was banged up last year, man. And he still led the team in receiving, you know? So, and again, it explains why his targets went down. The people who say his production really dipped in the second half of the season, all you got to do is take 2 seconds and realize, oh, his production didn't dip. His targets dipped. That was why his production wasn't there. He said today, quote, winning matters most. I don't care about targets, 2 or 10. If we win, I'm good. I lift teammates up. That's what he said. Coach Matt LaFleur lauded Reed's mentorship of Golden and Williams. Jayden's outstanding. He said, noting veterans like Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson also stepped up as leader. Christian Watson's a leader in that locker room. I just wish he could stay healthy because, man, he's got some serious leadership qualities.
He does.
We're building leaders this offseason, LaFleur said. Jayden's key for our young team. So before we move on and this is the last time we're going to talk about this whole situation because this is over. It's done now, right? We finally got to hear from Jayden Reed. That's what I was waiting on. And like somebody said in the chat, seeing him side-eye and grin and everything, you could tell he's just like, this is so stupid. So it's done. Anything else y'all want to add?
Put that quote up right next to Lombardi's in the locker room. Winning matters most. I don't care about targets, 2 or 10. If we win, I'm good. I lift teammates up. I love it.
That's a hell of a quote.
That's a new tattoo right there, Jacob. You got room on one of the arm sleeves or something, man?
No, he's got another butt cheek, man.
Okay. I will just jump off of what Tim said there. When you go back and like I said, I did get to listen to LaFleur's podcast, his press conference, and he really did like go over almost. And Matt doesn't usually do this. Like Matt's usually a nice talker, and he does the coach speak, and he gives everybody their flowers. But when he specifically highlights the wide receiver room and how certain guys like Christian Watson, even though he's not even physically able to perform, he's out there coaching up guys. Same with Dobbs in a way, but he really went out to highlight how Jayden Reed. But then he went through and he said he listed every single guy in the wide receiver room, down to Bo Melton and Malik Heath. You know what I mean? You don't do that unless you are actually It's another crazy thing when you look at the Packers depth chart, even guys that aren't going to make the team. Like, for instance, there's a website I love called Fantasy Pros where that helps you with your drafts to find out the draft order and the projected starting. The Packers have got 9 guys on their list. There's teams that have 4. Like, Steelers have 4 wide receivers right now. Like, there's teams that have legitimately no more than we've got guys. And again, I don't know if I listened to the same pod you did, Emilio, but they were talking about how the Packers are going to let receivers go that are going to be starters on other teams. It's just going to happen. Unless we keep 8, and even then you got guys like Malik Heath and Bo Melton that probably aren't going to get
probably the first 2 names that come to mind, right?
Yeah. But even think about like Mecole Hardman. There's talk that this guy's just been nothing but a great teammate since he's been in there. So
going to be talented players that are going to have to be let go of this team just because of the depth that we have on the roster currently.
Yeah. Good problem to have, though.
Yeah, you know how it is, Emilio. When you get to week 4 of the preseason on Madden, and you got to cut that thing down. You got 87 players on the roster. You got to get down.
He best to cut. You know who goes first? Matt Orzich. Sorry, buddy. We're gonna have to putting Elton over there at long snapper. We'll be all right. We'll save a spot like that.
Oh man, I love it. All right, so there is your Jayden Reed information. It's done. It's behind us. Let's talk a little Jordan Love for a second. Tim, if you'll just give me any kind of screen grab. I kind of like that Clay Matthews one, to be honest with you, man. It's pretty sick. So I love it. It's the best. So this was tweeted out by Ryan Wood, a video of Jordan Love talking about the injury last year and how much it may have affected him. Give us a little insight. Again, guys, I wish I could turn the volume up. It may be okay on this one. I'm not sure. Just be prepared to crank it up. And for everybody on the pod, hopefully it wasn't an issue for you. I'll go through and adjust the volume. But like I said, Ryan Wood put a tweet out, said Jordan Love on how much the knee really affected him after week 1 last season. Here we go.
Point last season after week 1. Did the knee feel right?
Man, I'd say it's tough because, I had the knee that wasn't feeling good. And then once I kind of started getting better is when my groin was dealing with that. So, I'd say about halfway through the season, towards the back half, I took the knee stabilizer that I was wearing off. But some of those injuries that who knows if you're ever really healthy until you get a little time to sit, really not do anything. So, I'd say it wasn't something that was just bothering me on a daily basis. Everything I did, there'd be little movements, things like that might hinder it. But definitely those first couple of games that I came back, it still bothered me.
So when you get into this off season, how long was the period of time where you just needed to heal, and how long did that take until your body kind of felt back to where you want it to be, where you can go and work on things?
Yeah, I say after a couple of weeks of not doing football every day, I was feeling better. But at the same time, that's just doing the workouts that I'm doing. I wasn't back fully on the field yet, doing quarterback drops and all those different movements, and having guys chase me and having to react to some of those things. So I think the reactionary part with the knee injury, some of the planning you do is when you're not expecting to cut, things like that is what messes you up a little bit. So I think in the off season I felt good. I feel good now. I think every day that kind of went on where I'm not in the building doing strenuous football every single day helped heal that.
So I really think that the thing that we're going to notice the biggest difference next year is going to be with Jordan Love is his scrambling ability and being able to run a little more RPR and be a little more involved in that regard, and the things that we've seen in 2023 that did make him truly dynamic. And, he's still, I think we'd all agree he throws off the back foot way more often than we want him to. Right. But I remember the throw. I can't remember which game it was. It was at Lambeau Field. You remember when he hit Jayden Reed in the back corner of the end zone, just threw, I'm talking a laser on the run. That's the stuff you couldn't see last year. And even with that, to finish top 10 in passer rating or QBR, whatever it was, the ESPN metric, and see him still kind of hold his own. I mean, battling those 3 injuries, he finished somewhere between 10 and 15 in terms of quarterbacks last year. So You think healthy, you've got yourself a top 10 quarterback, and maybe he can improve into a top 5 quarterback, Tim. I hope so. But I don't know, man. I think that the fact that he didn't complain about the injuries last year, we talked about it. And it's our job, by the way, as fans, to point that out, because the players do it and all of a sudden they're soft. They're complaining. They're making excuses. That's why it cracks me up when we mention it. There's a certain portion of the fan base that will actually, it's just an excuse. Okay, calm down there, hero. I can see from your profile pic, you're 45 pounds overweight and you're pretending like you're going to judge a world-class athlete. Like, what are we even doing here? Jordan went out there and laid it on the line, man. I'm excited to see what he does this year.
I'm going to use my judgment, and my judgment says we haven't even seen what a ceiling for Jordan Love looks like yet. We have not seen it yet. We haven't even seen him, bump his head on it yet. We're going to get a look this year, right? We got some new weapons. We're loaded up. Jordan is healthy. You talk about that throw to Reed in the back of the end zone in 23. I remember that play. I remember the laser beam in Detroit on Thanksgiving that he teleported to Jaden Reed somehow on a slant to get us a touchdown. When Jordan's healthy and stepping into his throws and is playing, relatively injury free, all he's got to do is play his best football and we'll win ball games. We're not in a situation like we were a few years ago where it's like, you kind of do, you put everything on Aaron Rodgers or you put everything on, Aaron and Devontae and maybe one other guy on your offense to get the job done. Now this is offense and defense by committee. This is, 11-man squad going out there and getting it done as a unit. So when it comes to Jordan, all he's got to do is continue to improve where he can, but play to the best of his ability and hopefully stay healthy. And we have a legit shot to get Lombardi home. I truly believe it.
Yeah, here's a video that was tweeted out by Matt Schnaben from today. You see Jordan, there's two quarterbacks throwing there. When you first watch it, you go, boy, it's a high throw, Jordan. But he's throwing to the guy on the left, obviously, which is Matthew Golden. You're seeing them. Matthew Golden looks smooth today, guys. He looks smooth in transition and big time. But go ahead, Jacob. What do you think? Jordan Love here, and you see him. They got him under center right here, which is something we couldn't do near as often as we wanted to last year.
Yeah. Who's the opposite receiver? Is that 84? Is that Savion's number?
No, Savion's 83. I'm not sure who 84 is. Tim said it's Sterling Sharp, but I don't know who 84 is right off that.
No, I mean it's definitely nice to see him. You see Matthew Golden run, and he does look kind of effortless. Looks very smooth, good in and out of breaks. Obviously, they're not going full speed, and there's no contact, all that yada yada. I get it. But Janky, I really like the Janky guy, dude. You talk about another dude that probably not going to make the roster. I'd hope we'd get him on the practice squad, but dude, I love
Jacob every year. The bottom of the roster dudes. You study them more than any of them, don't you, Jacob? You love studying about it.
He was the University of South Dakota guy. He played with Tuck. I like it a lot.
84 was showing Cornelius Johnson, but wasn't he a release?
I think he was a release.
I thought he was.
So it is, yeah.
Probably Janky then, yeah.
It's Yankee, not Janky. Is it?
No,
is it
dude,
Janky
I'll never not say it. It's Janky, baby. Quit being so janky.
We don't want no janky receivers.
We think this is Chicago. We don't want any janky receivers. What do you think, Emilio? Anything you want to add to that, man? And I actually got another video I'll pop up while you talk here about Jordan.
No, I think that's exciting. Having J Love back. I think what they were going through some numbers. It was he's taken probably 20 or 30 less runs from last year. And I can't wait for him to be able to use his legs again and really be able to just kind of spring that offense, just being able to take your check down of your legs, even though we've been getting mad at him and not taking the actual check down, take that leg check down and, be able to exploit the defense and then give him something else to worry about, kind of like with Malik Willis, but, not as much of a run threat, though, you can still get a lot out of it just by being able to tease the defense with that. And I'm just excited that was the other thing they said. I think it was on GM Shuffle. There was top 5 teams was Packers in player retention from last year. I think it's 84% of the roster is from, came back from last year. So again, just the cohesiveness and everything should really help out.
Yeah.
I think that might be Cornelius, Tim, because if I'm not mistaken, I thought Janky was a hot boy, but I could be wrong.
I think they released Cornelius Johnson.
Did they?
I don't know. Maybe someone can confirm that. I'm not sure.
I just love the extra conversation about players who are not going to be on the roster. I think it's absolutely awesome.
Well, let's talk about a player that probably will be on the roster, and that's Sean Clifford's replacement, Mr. Elgersma from Canada. You guys taking a look at him at all? Guy looks
Elgersma is the funnest write-up I did all offseason.
I'm telling you.
I had to make myself do it. I'm like, there's no way they're going to draft this guy. He's not going to be on the roster. Why am I even doing this? He played in Canada, for God's sake. We don't know nothing about him. by the end of it, I was like, this dude's a Hall of Famer. My God, it's unbelievable.
By the end of it, you were like,
Here's a guy.
Exactly. So obviously, this video was tweeted by Bill Huber. So shout out to Bill Huber, one of the goats that covers the Packers here. Matthew Golden looking smooth, man, and I love too that like Coach Lynn says here, I love how Golden plucks the ball away from his body. He's a very aggressive catcher. He's a hands catcher, and really like the way he attacks the football, and especially on the college tape. SEC championship, he was a dog. So if you get a chance, go watch that SEC championship game where he went absolutely off. Had his best career game. I remember us uncovering that while we were breaking his profile down during draft season as well. So it's kind of cool. Again, I know it's just them running routes on air and everything. It's still just awesome to see these guys in uniform. I think it's great, man. So another person that was talked about today was Christian Watson. Matt LaFleur seems to think that he is ahead of schedule. Matt Schneidman said Christian Watson stretching and jogging here at OTAs. He tore his ACL in week 18. Gutekunst said in February he's expected to return around the midway point of the season. Matt LaFleur actually said earlier today that he is ahead of schedule. Do you guys think there's any chance that we get Christian Watson back before November? Do you think there's a shot at that? That would be wild if he came back in October, wouldn't it?
I really think it's.
Oh, go ahead, Jacob. Go ahead.
No, so I mean, we've seen it now recently with multiple different wide receivers and running backs that before, if you got any of those types of major tears, the ACL, MCL, sprain, this or that, like it seemed like it was like a solid year. Now it's crazy how good these doctors are, the surgeries are, the rehab is. And if the player wants to come back and really takes that personally, that is Johnson. They're 84. Just saying. I really do think in the way that he moves around, like look at that. Look at the way he's moving around. You see him there, right? Number 9.
Yep.
That's crazy, bro. Like I would not expect that.
We saw Rashawn do it. Obviously we're comparing apples to oranges here, a receiver and an edge, but Rashawn was ahead of schedule. We saw that going into camp that year, and lo and behold, he cleared and he was back a few weeks ahead of schedule. I look at this right here. I look at Christian out there. He looks like he's in the best shape of his life right now.
He does, dude.
He really does. And I think that it's not insane to think that, maybe 2 to 3 weeks ahead of schedule on being extremely optimistic, maybe 1 or 2 weeks earlier than we thought. If we can get him back before the midway point of the season, we're in a great spot.
What if he's there in October, bro? Like, which is not.
Take it easy.
I'm just saying.
Let's not forget the whole reason he's in this mess to begin with is because we just had to put him out there against Chicago. So let's not do it again and rush him back too early.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, man, that at least he's past the point. But just coming off that ACL, this is the worst pain that I think I've ever felt in my life. All that blood rushing down there is just brutal. But yeah, me personally, I did get faster after the ACL. I either lost some weight or whatever it was. It worked for me. A little more pep in the step. I wouldn't want to force him back, though. I do absolutely love that he has no brace on. That's huge. I think that's at this point, that's really exciting to see just because you have to be able to trust it, that it's not going to go anywhere, that it's not going to buckle on you, that it's not going to, pop out if you go to pivot again. Like inside and outside turns are big on as well. So look at that foot. Is it in the ground when he's planting and pivoting is also key just to, just if he's beyond that point of worried about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And bonus points for also, running a close second for best hair on the team to Xavier McKinney. Christian Watson's got the hair game on point going into OTAs here. I like it.
Yeah. Definitely. Again, and that's the thing too, man. As big as Christian Watson is, man, get the hair grown out a little bit, get another 2 or 3 inches on that height, look even bigger. You know what I mean? Out there warming up. So, Jacob does that in the club on Saturday nights. He tries to.
Yeah, he brings an extra hair dryer for when he has to blow it out.
He does that at bingo on Wednesdays too.
Oh, that's right. Today's Wednesday. Jacob, what are you doing here?
How do you know bingo's on Wednesdays?
Tim, that happens at 3. You gotta go to bed.
I mean, I had a big day. I ate dinner at 4:30. What else do you do after?
Oh wow! Past your bedtime already.
It is.
All right, that's going to do it for hour one. For those of you listening on the pod, we will return here in hour two and continue to talk about bingo night. We appreciate y'all.
For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome into hour two. Got a huge crowd in here. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. If you would, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank y'all for making us a part of your evening. Let's shift gears and talk a little O-line. That sound good, fellas? See kind of what groups got marched out there today. As Rob Demovsky did a hell of a job today kind of covering some of the important information. First group on offense, I want to put a disclaimer out there. In no way, shape, or form does this mean this is what the offensive line is going to look like, right? It doesn't mean that these are the guys leading. I'm just simply, I want to provide the information that they provided from practice today so we kind of get an idea of, all right, who's getting a look where. And what they're probably trying to do is mix and match a little bit and see how guys respond next to someone that maybe isn't as good as the player who's going to be playing next to them, things like that. So a lot of different, methodology, I guess you could say, to how they approach this. But nonetheless, the first group on offense, according to Rob Demovsky from left to right, was Rasheed Walker at left tackle, Aaron Banks at left guard, Jacob Monk at center, Sean Ryan at right guard, and Zach Tom at right tackle. Obviously, a quarterback was Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs in the backfield. They were in 12 personnel, which is one running back, two tight ends. Those two tight ends were Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. The wide receivers on the field were Romeo Dobbs and Bo Melton. Now, when they marched those guys off, they brung on Golden, Reed, and Wicks were the three wide receivers set in the second snap.
Okay.
So 11 personnel. The thing that keeps sticking out to me is Dobbs was there for 12, right? So we could check that off the list. He was on the field. He was participating, right? It wasn't just he was there in-house. So that's great news. But Wicks, I really do think that they want him to try to emerge as that X receiver, if at all possible. I would imagine that's what the 11 look was there. Would have been Reed in the slot, Golden in the Z, and probably Wicks in the X is probably that look that we talked about. So nonetheless, what do you guys think about that offensive line? Again, I don't think that's going to be the starting offensive line. The big thing that stood out to me was no Jordan Morgan there, which he does come into the fold here in a second.
Yeah, I think Morgan there, well, we'll probably get to that. They're talking about him possibly being left tackle too.
Correct.
In some way, shape, or form. I think, again, though, it's important for us to remember how early it is, and this is a lot of just trying to kind of play with new pieces and, get some different looks together and see what is the best scenario for your O-line. I mean, I think all of us on this show agree that you just simply, you want your best five out there, right? Like, it doesn't matter where they're playing. Find that best five that can stay consistent and hopefully stay healthy. So yeah, I think it is kind of interesting that we didn't see him yet, but I'm sure we'll see more of that at left tackle.
Yeah, and I think what sticks out to me is who's the backup center currently, and the fact that it's Monk. It, gets me a little excited just because we didn't see him last year in it, and I think that with Elton not being there, we needed to know at least who could possibly be the second besides Ryan. I know that he had done that, but hopefully Monk turns it up, gets a lot of reps in there in this time that Elton's out.
Yeah, and I want to point out here, Rob Demovsky did say Jordan Morgan also working at right guard and Sean Ryan at center with the number one offense. So sounds like in terms of center, they were going Monk and Ryan at center, and they had Jordan Morgan rotating in at right guard and left tackle. Now, Jason Wilde, Mark Tauscher, Brian Balaga, they're all saying that they have been told that it sounds like Jordan Morgan is going to be competing with Rasheed Walker for left tackle. And Brian Balaga went on to say, I would anticipate Anthony Belton will be competing at right guard. So it sounds like that might be what they're leaning towards right now. I know this, if you get the contract, if and when you get the contract situation worked out, Jacob, with Elton Jenkins, I'm feeling damn good about this offensive line, dude. I mean, even if Jordan Morgan beats out Rasheed Walker, then you've got the best backup left tackle in the league in Rasheed Walker, in my opinion.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And like Emilio said, I do like the fact that we're getting guys. Obviously, there's no real contact or anything like that right now, but I would like to see Jacob Monk at least make some headway, get the guys some reps. I am a little bit surprised that Morgan's not out there, neither is Belton. But again, this is just very touch and go, underwear Olympics type stuff. So I'm not worried at all.
Got it. All right. So there you go. There was the first look at the offensive line. Now, just to give you kind of a quick glimpse of our boy Banksy, he's a big old boy, as Marcus Eversole tweeted this out. Banks is a big old feller there. Matt LaFleur was talking about them being able to sign Aaron Banks is what gave them the freedom to move guys around the way that they want to now, right? Because if they had not signed Aaron Banks, Elton Jenkins would be locked into left guard. You'd be trying to find your center, right? Or maybe you'd be trying to work Jordan Morgan into left guard and moving Elton Jenkins to center, however you may approach it. The Aaron Banks signing, I think it's going to prove to be a good one. Again, I've got faith that people have criticized Brian Gutekunst's drafting ability. I think there's room for criticism there. I don't think Goody's been perfect, especially early on. First few draft classes were pretty rough, right?
Yeah.
I feel like he's hit some home runs. But one thing I do not question him on is signing free agents. Because he went Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith. I believe he got Adrian Amos as well that same year. I could be.
Yeah.
Yep.
All three of those were freaking home runs.
Rasul, Devondre.
Yeah, seriously. And all those guys stepped right in, and they exceeded our expectations. And then you go get Xavier McKinney, Josh Jacobs.
That's crazy.
So
yeah.
That's why when they signed Aaron Banks and they signed Nate Hobbs, more so Aaron Banks than Nate Hobbs, I wasn't like, this is the guy that's at the top of my list. But rather than look at it, just like the Anthony Belton draft pick, I don't look at that and go, man, he's lower on our board than where they took him. I immediately try to reverse engineer and go, okay, what did Goody see here? And my thought process with Aaron Banks, Emilio, it goes immediately to, all right, Goody knows how to sign free agents. There's no two ways about it. I would not be surprised if we look up at the end of the year and this dude is in talks for being a Pro Bowl left guard. I would not be surprised.
He saw something in the size and his movement ability, whatever it was, Goody saw it. And I think that's where, I come back to the Elton point of, you're going out there and paying this dude. We got him on a 4-year, what was it, 4 for 80 or something like that. So you're going out here and paying this man. You've got a guy in-house already that's, giving his blood, sweat, and tears to this team. We got to pay that dude as well because, he's just as deserving as bringing in a new guy. But the talent, like you said, of the free agency acquisitions have just been incredible from Goody. I think that he keeps that up here. Even if it's not, even if, God forbid, it's not Banks, what if it's, Hobbs or whatnot? So I think that, we'll be in good shape now with the O-line depth.
Yeah.
If you guys get a chance, again, I always want to plug any of Ryan's segments when they're really great. Again, this morning, it's always crazy because like it's in the off season, it's sometimes hard to figure out what the heck to talk about and whether or not it's interesting or not. Ryan seems a way to, I don't know if he's got the robots working overtime over there, but he did a segment where he basically was able to quantify and find a metric of GMs and they're drafting. I think he excluded the last 2 years just because you needed a bigger sample size, right? So he went back, I believe, to Goody's 2018 and then excluded a certain amount of GMs that were one and dones, that type of stuff. But he was able to find a metric that graded on where added value of where you drafted a player and then how much that player gave you over the course of their career. And I believe Goody was around like 13th or 14th in the league as far as that metric. But then you start looking at some of the players he had compared to, let's say, the Vikings, who I remember were at the bottom of the bin in like the 25th overall rank with Kwesi, the supposed draft expert, right? That was one of the main reasons that this dude got hired. It really does put in perspective. I really like that, the added value metric there. And Goody has gotten more value out of certain draft players specifically for their position, especially when you look at guys like Carrington Valentine, Rasheed Walker, 4th round picks. It's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else you guys want to add? Actually, I think I've got one more tweet here from our friend Paul Brettel on offensive line. There may be something here. There may not. Just threw it up there because I've seen the offensive line mentioned. We'll get to defense here in a second, like we mentioned. Morgan at left tackle with first-team offense the second time through, so he did kick over to left tackle the second time through. Tim, if Jordan Morgan beats out Rasheed Walker at left tackle, that's great news for the Packers because now you don't have to pay Sheed next year. Sheed's going to get paid. Please, this isn't a knock at Sheed. People have seen the tape. They've seen how well he pass blocks. He's going to get a good little chunk when he hits free agency if the Packers decide not to re-sign him. But an ideal situation would be Jordan Morgan returning to the position he played his entire life, left tackle, both through high school and college. and take over at left tackle. You got him on that rookie deal for the next 3 years. You move on from Rashid, and you just keep the rotation, kind of rotating the young guys throughout the building. You know what I mean? I think that would be great if Morgan can beat him out. But I'll tell you this, if Rashid's the better player by the end of the training camp, go with Rashid. You know,
Right.
You might have to pay that man then. Because my question to you is, let's say it does go the first scenario way, you know, and we commit and we have no Rashid Walker. If Jordan Morgan struggles or proves not to be the guy or deals with any kind of adversity, then what? Where are we going at left tackle beyond that?
Right.
And this is why we like versatile O-linemen, you know. I agree with the sentiment that I'd rather see Jordan Morgan beat out Rashid Walker at the left tackle spot as opposed to beating out Sean Ryan for right guard, because I don't see Sean Ryan doing much more other than playing right guard or maybe a little center for us, you know, down the stretch. So left tackle is interesting. I think if Morgan can step up and really prove that he's that dude, I think you're right, Clay. It would help this football team tremendously.
Yeah, and let's say the worst case scenario happened, Emilio. Let's say Morgan takes over at left tackle and they move on from Rashid Walker, and then Morgan ends up being a worse player than him. You've got that kind of ace in the hole with Anthony Belton, who played left tackle in college as well. I imagine that would be the next goal, would be to try to fit him in. I just don't think I don't think the way the Packers run their offense that left tackle is as important as most offenses, because they've been able to just, it seemed like plug and play. I mean, Rashid Walker's a 7th round pick.
Right.
David Bakhtiari.
He took over for Bakhtiari, who's arguably, you know, first ballot Packer Hall of Famer here for sure.
But he was a 4th round pick, right?
Yep.
So it kind of I think he was a 4th round pick. It feels like left tackle is one of those spots with the Packers where they can almost just like kind of throw somebody over there and they're good. You know,
Right.
I don't know what it is. It's almost like there's a
Must
little
be the stellar quarterback play we've had for the last couple of decades.
Right.
It's almost like there's more value placed at left guard and right tackle in Matt LaFleur's offense than there is left tackle. I don't know. Maybe I'm digging too deep there. Maybe.
I was just going to say that the right tackle, I think it was on GM Shuffle, they were talking, just the right tackle has gone up in, you know, in notice and in need and everything like that. It's not just a left tackle league anymore. It's not like that where your quarterback standing in the pocket just blindside all day long. I think that you know, having a strong right tackle is almost just as important as having a good left tackle. But Rashid's going to have to get paid, and we can only pay so many O linemen. We already got Banks in there. You're going to square away without, and you got to pay Zach Tom. You can't pay 5 O linemen, you know, $20 million. It's just not going to. I mean, you probably could figure it out, but it's not something that, you know, the Packers normally do or are going to chase down. So I think you pick your 3, you move forward, and you're going to keep drafting O-line, and we're going to take another one next year, maybe 2 the year after that, whatever, and just keep recycling it.
Yeah. Rick Kruger in the chat asked, can Tom play left tackle just in case? I think Tom can play everywhere. That dude didn't practice at center all year, to the best of my knowledge. And when they needed him at center, whether I think it might have been his 2nd or 3rd year in the league, they just popped him in there and he
did fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he definitely could. Rick, what do you think?
Remember the college days at center.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jake? Anything?
I think that's completely fair to say. It is interesting to see the progression of where certain teams are going to place their quote unquote superstars. I think of like the Lions with Penei Sewell, if I'm not mistaken, that he was a right tackle, and they're like, we're not going to move him. He's great at right tackle. Just snap the ball. Zach Tom says, respect oranges.
I just snapped the ball.
I just snapped the ball. I would ask a question that I think is a fair one that comes from Too Old for This. He says, if Rashid had been an early pick, are we even having this conversation?
And that's
probably not.
That's the thing too over this. Like, another thing that sticks out to me, the way that Goody is, he goes and signs free agents and spends a little more money than most people would. It tips his hand, and not in a bad way. He's telling you what kind of draft grade he had on those guys. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you he had a 1st round grade on Aaron Banks. And then he liked the tape that he's seen at the NFL level. He's coming from a system that's familiar, you know, with the way the Packers run their offensive line there, and kind of coming from that Shanahan tree. But yeah, I'm with you. I've thought about that many times. If there is a fault that Goody, and pretty much you listen to the GM Shuffle all the time, Emilio, I'm sure it's a fault for all GMs. If there's a fault that a GM has, It's that they believe in their early draft picks. I mean, Mark Tauscher said it best. He's like, a 7th rounder has to continuously prove he belongs. A 1st rounder has to continuously prove he doesn't belong. And that's the reality of how scouting in the draft and everything works. So I think there's some truth to that. I'm glad you pulled that up.
Exactly. And an old, or a late round player, he's got to get it done in special teams, if anything. You know what I mean? It's not like if you're an old lineman, yeah, you might have a shot there, but again, you're still on pump block, you're still on kick return, you're still doing all that sort of stuff. So I think that it's something that you need to get. If you can't get those reps, if you can't get time in that scenario and getting out there on the field, you have to make do on special teams. And I think that's where, you kind of see some of those guys making hay and getting on the roster. I mean, last year you lose a couple of corners that are older, but that were staples on on special teams. So I think that you can kind of make that there, but it's tough, that O-line there.
Yeah, sure. All right. The other notable thing here from Paul Brettel was Ryan then moves to center, Morgan to right guard, and Walker at left tackle. So it sounds like it's Jordan Morgan and Rasheed Walker competing at left tackle, and it sounds like it's Sean Ryan and Jacob Monk competing for backup center. That's what it feels like right now. And again, this isn't training camp. This is as minute of a competition as you could possibly have. But it's going to be fun. That's going to be one of the mini camp battles that Tim's going to have an eye on while he boots on the ground there at training camp. And offensive line will be awesome this year, for sure. So, All right, let's now move along to the defensive side of the ball. And Matt LaFleur was asked about the pass rush today. Guys, listen, I'm not trying to toot our own horn, but anytime this happens, I want to point out, like, if we thought we were wrong on how we evaluated the pass rush and what the tape's shown on how they were rushing the quarterback, I'd be the first to say, man, we got that one wrong. It was bad, right? But from early on, it's like this pass rush is not pinning its ears back, right? Matt LaFleur was asked today, if you'll give me a screen grab here, Tim. I got an audio from Matt. And again, I'll try to get the volume as high as I can, guys. I apologize for everybody watching live. Matt LaFleur was asked about improving the pass rush this year, all right? And I want you to hear what he puts emphasis on. He could have said anything. He could have said, yeah, we got to close the gap and we got to hit home with the quarterback. We got to get more aggressive and get upfield quicker. We got to win our one-on-one back. He could have said all these things, right? Listen what Matt LaFleur said when he was asked on improving the pass rush.
Where do you think improvement in the pass rush can come this year?
Well, I think just some of the stuff that we've been talking over, I think the guys have a really good understanding of when we do rush for what everybody's responsibility is. I think that we're going to be a little cleaner in our rush lanes and not allowing big gaps up front to allow, whether it's quarterbacks stepping up or scrambling. So, as far as I can tell, the communication's been great. I think DC's done a great job. I was just talking to Kenny Clark about it, as a matter of fact, earlier today, and just in terms of the technique, the level of detail which he coaches, his ability to communicate, his ability to bring great energy to that room. So I'm looking forward to it, but ultimately there's a long way to go between now and then, and our guys got to continue to dig at all the little details of everything that we're trying to teach them.
So again, you can drop that down now, Tim. We'll just leave it up there. So when he was asked about improving the pass rush this year, Matt LaFleur continues to put emphasis on rush lane integrity is essentially what he's talking about. How many times did we talk about this year? Like, you can see Kenny Clark playing a touch spot where he's not even going after the quarterback. Sure. You can see LVM playing Patty Hick on the outside, but keeping his eye on the rush lane, right? That was the goal going in. Control and contain the run game. Shut the run down first and foremost. We finished second in the league in yards per carry allowed. And then we finished ninth. While doing that, we finished ninth in sacks on the year. I'm telling you, man, I'm just proud of the way we covered this and the way it's why you need to watch the tape. Well, and, I don't mean to call him out. I see it.
I was just going to say.
This is the perfect example. We might have the worst group of pass rushers in the league. It's unacceptable how poor the production is. We finished eighth. We finished eighth or ninth in the league in sacks, right? We had a legit top 10 pass defense. We had the number 2 run defense. Again, if you watch the tape, you will see it. I was mind boggled seeing the former player, and I'm not going to say his name. He can't rush the passer. LVN, he just can't rush the passer. And I'm like, you're a former player. Like, you've got to be able. If a dumb redneck who's never played collegiate football, damn sure never sniffed the NFL, can see on tape, man, they're not really pinning their ears back here. It kind of looks like they're controlling the rush lanes. How the hell do you not see it? And you played in the league? Like, it blows me away, man. It absolutely blows me away that people still could not see that. And again, it's the box score readers. Typically, it's the Well, I mean, you look at where they're at. Look at what okay. Anyway, I digress. I'm just saying it. I love it when Matt points this stuff out because it's so freaking obvious when you turn on the tape. When you turn on the box cam, if you're watching highlights, you're going to miss it. I promise you. But I don't know. Anybody else see it any different than that than me? Because when I heard him say that, I went, "We got another one right. Good deal.
Nah,
we're on the right track."
Yeah, Mr. Jefferson, I would implore you to go back to the last 2 episodes and look at when we broke down the actual statistical rankings that we finished with. Not that we were projected with, that we finished with. And I would also go back and try to find Ryan's podcast where he talks about how the posts on the second half of the season, our guys were killing it. Specifically, even guys like LVN, Gary, my boy Brenton Cox Jr., I'm talking they were over 15%, some of them over 18%. Some of our D tackles like Wyatt and I believe there's one other even were like cracking over 10%. And you're just like, okay. So I understand that maybe you don't feel that we had the type of defense that you would like to have as far as being a flashy defense. But like to Clay's point, being able to be second in run defense, as far as
you can't stop everything. You can't
stop everything, but then to be second in run defense and then 9th overall in sacks, I just don't. That's production, my friend. That is the definition of production.
You want to be really good at both of those attributes, right? You want to be as good as you can. Your teams are usually going to be maybe a little better at one than the other. Some teams are more balanced, but it's hard to stop everything, man. That's what this game is designed to do, right? And defense is my favorite side of the ball. I think it's more difficult to play defense, especially in the modern game, the modern NFL, and you're constantly reactive. So it's really tough to shut everything down. It really is.
Yeah,
I think it's fair to maybe.
Go ahead. You
No, just real quick, one point. I think it's fair to criticize situational times where it's like we really needed a sack on this drive and nobody showed up, because I feel like that's 100%. And I don't want to put words in James's mouth, but I remember being a Packer fan on certain downs and you're like, you just didn't show up for this series. Okay, I guess we'll just give him the ball back. Like,
right. And
I think that's what he means by deceiving, right? It seems deceiving because there are times when, the hell with gap integrity, we're teeing off, we're sending 5, 6, we're sending the dogs and still nobody gets home. I think that's where the frustration can kind of come into play, because you're not running a stunt or you're not doing anything super crazy. You're trying to get home and you're not. So I can see how it can be definitely deceiving for sure.
Yeah. And I want to say this, James, nobody's saying the pass rush was perfect. Nobody here's saying that. Nobody's saying it can't improve. We're simply saying you've got to choose what you're going to stop. You can't be, first in sacks and first in run defense. Like, go look through history. It's if it happens, it's extremely rare. So, it's just like people who were screaming they wanted to play man coverage. You could play man coverage, and you could play bump and run and deter the short routes in the RPO game. You can do that. But what's the negative aspect? Your run defense is going to dip because your guys have their back to the ball playing press. And if you get beat over the top in anything less than too high shell, which if it's too high shell, they're running the ball down your throat as well. Yep. They're going to hit you over the top for explosive play. So you can't take everything away. Right. And I thought Hafley just played it absolutely perfect. And I see in the chat, it's been a big talking point. We had 8 sacks in one game. That skews the numbers. If we're going to play that game, then what we've got to do, guys, is you've got to go for the rest of the league and take the game that each team had the most sacks from their game and remove one game, and let's compare apples to apples. Like, the fact that we're looking at a game where we got 8 sacks as a negative blows my mind. Me and Emilio were in the stadium for that game. And I'm going to tell you why they ended up getting 8 sacks. Because they pinned their ears back because they got off to an early lead. Emilio, am I wrong?
No, you're exactly right. And we were talking about that on the defense yesterday. It was just like the situational time where we were able to actually be in third and 13 or 3rd and 15, how many times were we put in that situation where we could pin it back and go? Besides that, where everyone was screaming about stopping the run for years, and you're not happy with that, and you give up a couple of passes here and there, fine. But we got, and I think sometimes maybe when you wanted us to be off the field, maybe those didn't happen, but our defense got off the field more times than not, and did give our offense a lot of opportunity. I think that's where you kind of need to see that those numbers might not tell the full story.
I remember, and it's a game of adjustment, right? It's a constant cat and mouse and game of adjustment. You take away a couple of runs and you're going to get a check down, or you're going to get a check out or a can, and it's play action and they're taking a shot. I mean, that's just how the game is. Hopefully you can adjust and have your personnel where it needs to be,
Yeah. And I remember looking at Mandy when we were down there at that game, and it was almost a halftime, and I said, one more score, and you turn the damn dogs loose. Like you're this close, right? Because you don't want to get too aggressive and let a team back in the game. If what you're doing is working, you just kind of slowly choke them out, slowly press in, right? Mm-hmm. J. Cole says there was one time in that Eagles game where Hurts had like 10 seconds in the pockets. I specifically remember that play. Pissed me off. I remember exactly what you're talking about, Jay. Yep. But on the flip side, if you were to play devil's advocate, it's like you're playing a lot of contain on Hurts because you don't want him to torch you. Like, I personally want Jalen Hurts to have to beat me through the air rather than giving him a rush lane where I think he ended up having a long run too, didn't he?
I was going to say coverage must have been pretty good down the field if he was standing back there like Caleb Williams for 10 seconds,
But I do remember one play where he broke out of the pocket. It's like that's what you're trying to prevent. And again, it doesn't mean that's all you key in on. Mm-hmm. And you're constantly trying to play the situation at hand, right? So, and I know everybody in the chat,
right bumper. We're quarterback contained every single time, man. I'm not playing that game.
Is that what this button's for, Emilio?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
It's hilarious. All right, let's move it along here. We spent way too much time on the pass rush. But again, I thought it was cool that Matt said that, again, because it's not to go, we got it right. It's just, it's nice when you watch the tape. And he said it all. It's just like the year before when they were, the media kept talking about, do you think you should play with more defensive linemen? And Matt was like, well, y'all are exposing yourself. Our outside linebackers are defensive ends. Like, y'all don't even realize that. Like, those little moments where, things kind of click. I think it's important to try to learn as a fan. I know I'm trying to learn every day. So up next, you got Matt LaFleur talking about Edgerrin Cooper. Give me another screen grab here, Tim. I think you know which one I need here. There it is. That's what I'm talking about. Here was Matt LaFleur talking about Edgerrin Cooper putting on 20 pounds of damn muscle and not losing any explosion.
How different Cooper looks coming in. I think he spent the offseason training here, if I'm not mistaken. I understand everyone looks like they're in good shape this time of year, but what have you seen from
Not everybody.
There it is. Not everybody. Hey, take that screen grab down, Tim. Look at this. He said, I understand everybody. Matt Schneider said, I understand everybody's in good shape. And Matt went, not everybody. What do you see his face right here? Look. Hey, you know what? Let me grab that one right now, Tim. We got us a new screen grab. We got to get that one.
We're going to put that one up there with Hafley. That's the side eye. I love it.
This whole talking point is going to be about Edgerrin Cooper, okay? I want to make that clear. However, I got to ask you guys, who's he talking about? Who's he talking about here? Who came in out of shape? Who do you think it is, Emilio?
Hey,
Emilio said it's the first guy I'm going to cut. It's Matt Orsic.
Yeah, I don't know who came in out of shape.
You know he's not going to say Travis
Yeah, you
Glover.
do. I was just going to say, you know who it is, baby.
It's not
TG.
Travis Glover.
TG.
There's no way he came
It
in out
was Travis Glover. Putting the poll question up right now. Was Travis Glover show up at OTAs out of shape?
Here's
Yes,
what happened. Travis Glover finally got a hold of all the secret messages that Emilio's been sending him on Twitter and X and all that. So he followed him back. Then he figured out, oh man, this boy's got the Twinkie connection. He starts eating the cannolis and the Twinkies and all that. And before you know it, he's too fat. He's too fat. Too fat.
Keep talking, boys.
Is it really Travis Glover that came in out of shape?
Absolutely, yeah. Known fact now. You didn't know that?
I just don't see it. I think he's too much of a dog to let that happen.
Well, I just started a poll question here, okay? Here's the question, guys. Everybody on YouTube, make sure you go vote. Did Travis Glover show up to OTAs out of shape? Yes or yes?
This is a scientific poll, guys. This is scientific.
Give me that screen grab back, Tim. Let's talk some Edgerrin Cooper here, man. Sorry, I just want to point that out that Matt's on somebody's ass about being a little chubby. And believe me, I'm chubby myself. I relate.
Not everybody looks like they're in good shape.
In these last couple months coming into year 2.
Yeah, he is, we were talking about it earlier on the grass when we went out there, and just how much more he's so much more confident. Certainly his body looks different. I don't know if you guys could tell, but he's like 240 pounds right now. And I think there was a time when we came back last year where he was like 220. So the added weight, and he still looks like he's moving as good as he did a year ago. So I'm really excited about him. Just his understanding of the detail of what he's supposed to do, and those around him, I think, are going to allow him to play that much faster, which is pretty exciting.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited about Edgerrin Cooper putting on some muscle, man. 20 pounds of freaking muscle. And we got a video here as well. I'm going to pull it up. We'll just let it play in the background. They got him.
And to that point, Clay, Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper only had one start together.
Yep.
One start, and it was the playoff game against Philly. It's like if as both of them as starting backers.
Are you serious? One start?
Yeah,
Is
one
that,
start.
is that real?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
One start all season together where they're both starting linebackers, where they both are on there as starting linebackers, because Cooper was hurt on and off. He didn't even start taking starts until, mid later on in the season. That's when Quay got hurt. Then, you had Eric Wilson blow up for a couple games. Everybody thought he was going to be amazing, and he was going to be the savior. So I'm really, really excited about that inside backer.
Speaking of Quay, we're looking at the inside group here. Where's Quay? I didn't see him on Schneidman's list today.
Tim, why do you got to do this to him?
He was there, but I thought he was under the designation of recouping or
rehab
recovery.
group. Okay,
rehab.
Rehab group.
okay.
Fairly sure.
Because I know some of the defensive reps, they were saying that it was McDuffie, Cooper, and Tyron Hopper. Yeah.
And
You see
Welch. What do you
Jacob
guys think
Grace-
about Welch?
I love Welch. I hope he makes the team, but I
Me
got my
too.
hopes up last year and it didn't happen. So
Yeah.
Good
What
practice squad guy, Tim.
yeah,
What about
probably.
Cooper, though? Look, I mean, you can see it in Cooper. My man is thick.
Yeah.
And I just want to point this out. Look at this poor bastard right here.
I thought that was Jacob.
He's like, oh, God. You see,
You got to hold the back of the dummy because they can move a 4-person blocking dummy. We need a guy to hold anchor.
Let's hear Cooper hit this a couple times. You want to? Let's crank it up here. See what we got.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah. That's the Hopper out there. Give me a water
Almost
cooler,
picked
too.
Tyron Hopper up.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think he's going to be a dog this year. I'm telling you, I've been watching the Packers probably a lot, not near as long as everybody hearing my voice. I've been very vocal. I've become a Packer fan right around 2002, 2003. And which is funny, it's 23 years now. It's crazy how fast. It seems like it was yesterday, my first time at Lambeau. But I have never seen them draft a linebacker where it's like, as soon as he gets significant play time, you go, oh, this is different. I've never seen an inside linebacker. The closest thing I've seen is Clay Matthews. But obviously him being an edge defender, it's totally different, right? At the inside position, I have never seen a linebacker after becoming a Packer fan like Edgerrin Cooper. I'm trying not to overreact, but the stuff that he did both on tape and you look statistically, the havoc, all the stuff this dude looks like if he continues to improve and he stays healthy, he's going to be a Fred Warner type player. I believe that. And that's crazy to think about. Though you got that in the second round, and for everyone that's critical of Goody and rightfully so for the early draft classes, boy, he knocked that one out of the park.
I agree.
All 32 teams passed on him, Jacob. You know what I mean?
And I remember that draft. Obviously, we did our research. I wish I could sit here and tell you that Edge Cooper was my number one. I think I had him as my number 2 or 3. But situationally, because of like just some odd injuries to the other guys, and he just, for whatever reason, I didn't give him enough due diligence. And like you said, I would argue the closest thing that we've had to a linebacker, a rookie linebacker, coming in and producing the way he did, AJ Hawk. Other than that, I don't think there's anything even close to it for 30 years, maybe more. Maybe you got guys like Nick Barnett. Maybe I had some hopes for it a while. I remember when Desmond Bishop flashed for a while, but like that's all I can remember. There's not many, Bryce Pop. Remember going back that far? Exactly.
Good old Bryce Pop. Braden Fielding in the chat said, I didn't want to steal your idea, Clayton, but I stole your idea. I got the away Cooper jersey today with the Michael Myers patch on the way.
Nice.
Hey, let's create a trend, Braden. I'm going to do the same thing, buddy. I'm going to get it on the way and get the Michael Myers patch as well.
Mandy's already got it in the cart. Don't worry, Clay. She got it.
See, that's how Mandy operates. She's like, if I buy him a $200 jersey, then I can spend $600 somewhere else.
Smart. She's smart.
It always triples. It always triples, no doubt.
But I am excited about that interior linebacker, man. We got the new coach, right? And as well, Greg Cosell always says the speed of your defense is based off your inside linebackers. That's where that's where the speed can be maxed out and capped. And I think that we saw having that ability and speed with Cooper last year really opened up the defense. And let's see him and Quay starting together for 18 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. One last thing here is we're already over on time. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us, man. This has been a fun episode. I can't wait for training camp. Our live coverage of training camp is going to be great. Wanted to talk about the first team group here, as Rob Domofsky tweeted out. First group on defense and the base defense, your base 4-3, was Gary and LVN at edge, and they had Wooden and Wyatt in the interior. Again, Wooden's not going to start over Kenny Clark. We know that to be the case, but it kind of does make you think maybe Wooden is the guy who's, leading the charge and that maybe the guy who's going to take over for TJ Slayton type thing. Could be the case. He was a higher draft pick than Carl Brooks, although I would say that I felt like Carl Brooks performed better than Colby Wooden, and Colby Wooden battled injuries. But I think Wooden might be one to watch for here. And again, you guys know how I feel. I wanted a 3-tech. I wanted them to go and get a 3-tech and somebody they could rotate in, whether it's playing 1 or 2I, being that kind of that versatile guy, that guy moving forward as Kenny moves on. It probably won't be here next year, I would imagine. That's one that I don't have a lot of hope in Wooden, but maybe they're giving him every opportunity to prove he's taking the next step. At linebacker, they had McDuffie, Cooper, and Hopper, right? Which, as you guys pointed out, Quay, it sounds like he may have been with the rehab group. At cornerback, they had Nixon and Hobbs, all right? And then at safety, they had McKinney and Williams. Now, they said that when they went to nickel, Hobbs went to the slot and Valentine came in on the outside.
Let's go.
Here's the big noteworthy point here, though. And I'm with you, Tim. I'm a big Valentine guy. He proved he won me over last year. It sounds like Bullard, and again, it's early, and I started the whole show with don't overreact, but it does kind of sound like Bullard's slipping to the back a little bit, right?
Don't say that.
Yeah,
I think they want him to be a safety so bad.
It sounds like it, right?
They really do. They want him to be that guy, but I mean,
there it is in the nickel. Hobbs bumped inside, and Valentine was at right cornerback with Nixon staying outside. So there you go.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just saying he's Bull's up against he's up against Evan Williams. He's got Xavier McKinney back there. I mean, we got Zane Anderson. Yes, he's real. Yeah. There's some talent in the safety room. We know about Goody's magical offseason of completely gutting and flipping that room. So it's a little tough, I think, for Bullard to kind of find a role in the safety room when his strength appears to be playing in the slot. I will say this: hopefully he makes that step this year, and we're even better for it, because I think if we have that kind of depth, and then you can still move guys around. Hey, guys get banged up, they miss weeks. If Nate Hobbs becomes that nickel guy, that inside guy, that slot guy, and he has to miss a week or two, you can always put Bullard back down in there, hopefully, and not miss a beat. So But I think the plan seems to be that they want Javon Bullard to be a safety in this defense.
Well,
And back to defensive line real quick. I'll come to you, Jacob. Ed Madden says, I don't think Wooden has the size to take Slayton's place. It's not that he's looking to take Slayton's spot, but what they did last year, Kenny has played nose. There's this big misconception that Kenny never plays nose. Kenny plays one tech in the defense that's on the field the majority of the time in our nickel 4-2-5. So there was many times that you've seen TJ Slayton line up at one tech in the 4-3, but also he'd go 2-eye, he would go 3 tech. They move those guys around based on the matchup and the tendencies of the opponent they're playing that week. So I'm not saying that Wooden has the size to completely replace TJ Slayton and what kind of his superpower is, but the way that 4-3 front works, there's a little bit of maneuverability. And again, that 278 can go to 288 like that, right? And so on and so forth. Now, Carl Brooks actually played more one tech since he's been in the league than even I think TJ Slayton did, which is crazy to think about because Carl Brooks wasn't playing nose in our base 4-3. But again, we're not in that base 4-3 very often. So just want to point that out. I'm with you. I know he's not TJ Slayton's size, but go ahead, Jacob. What were you going to say, Bob? I think you were talking about corners or DBs maybe.
I was. Just before I forget, though, I love this. Dave MX Garcia says, Baldy's a big fan of Cooper Brian Baldinger. He says he calls him urgent care for his instant diagnosis. I love that.
And I love that point. That's why I love watching Baldy's breakdown so much because he really breaks down the inner workings of these players in the game. But we talk so much about Edgerrin Cooper's ability physically. What we're not talking about is FBI and the football IQ that he showed as a rookie who was cheated of most of his preseason and most of training camp due to injury, a guy who kind of got thrown out there and had to kind of sink or swim. And we obviously know how he finished out his year. So I think that's awesome that Baldinger mentions that, you know what I mean? Because I don't think Edgerrin Cooper gets enough credit for the mental aspect of the game that he possesses. He processes the game so fast. It's almost, I might be getting a little ahead of myself, but it reminds me kind of the way Luke Kuechly, if you guys watch any tape on Luke Kuechly, the way
he's amazing.
He could just sniff out a play before the coach called it and just knew what you were doing. And I see a lot of that in Edgerrin Cooper's game. So don't overlook that aspect, man. The guy's definitely has high football IQ for sure.
Yeah. Here was a tweet from Ryan Wood about Javon Bullard. We'll wrap up here. He said, Javon Bullard not taking team reps. Going to be real interesting where he slides into the secondary. Currently a 3-man rotation at safety with Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams starting, and Zane Anderson rotating in behind them. Now, maybe there's something there that Ryan tweeted about later that I didn't see or what have you, but it does kind of feel like, I mean, based off what we've seen in the short amount of snaps from Zane Anderson last year, he impressed the hell out of me. I mean, that guy just came in and he was laying the wood and he was around the football.
What about our boy Oladapo?
That's crazy too.
Yeah. And again, that's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah, I mean, the safety room kind of looks like the receiver room right now, right? A lot of talent in there.
Yeah. I was a little concerned that Javon Bullard was just going to go back to safety and they would bury Evan Williams on the depth chart. I'm okay with Bullard playing if he's the better safety. But based off what we've seen, I feel like Evan Williams is. Go ahead, Jake.
I agree. Just like to what Tim and you just said, I feel like that the most underrated room right now, even if Jair leaves, is the secondary, more specifically that cornerback room, though, because I want to go on a limb. I do believe that I think Carrington Valentine is going to be a starter in this league, and I think he's going to be good. Opposite him, I'm not quite sold on Keyshawn Nixon. I think that might be the definition of a progress stopper for this team right now. That's the only thing that I'm a little bit hesitant with. But also, I think we forgot about the fact that we drafted a guy named Micah Robinson. Like Tim says, we have guys from last year, Mr. Kalen King, who people have talked about and said, hey, man, don't sleep on him. He's actually doing well. His DB's coach went out of his way to say, hey, he's definitely improved. There's also, underneath the post that you had mentioned earlier, I can't remember if it was Ryan Wood or somebody else went on to say, hey, don't sleep on Gregory Jr., a guy that was a recent draft pick that was at the Jaguars. He looks like he can play. This is a few guys that a lot of people aren't thinking about. We still have guys like Kamal Haddon and Omar Brown and Jonathan, guys that I know me and Tim loved Omar Brown coming out of the draft. Obviously, Ketan Oladapo. That secondary is filled with a bunch of guys that aren't proven, but have the talent out of the wazoo.
Yep.
I love it. Rick Kruger says the chat room is underrated, and Holmes immediately fires back and says this chat sucks. Love it. You guys have been awesome tonight, man. Y'all have lit it up for sure. We're way over. Anything else y'all want to hit on before we wrap up, fellas? Anything at all?
No, that was great, and great points by Jacob there. Just kind of putting a bow on the secondary talk. You know, talking about Bullard. You know, you wonder like where is the spot for him? You know, you think maybe if we lose Jair, you know, if Jair is not a Packer, does Bull move over to corner? But it's like we talk about the coverage skills, right? We talked about things that he needs to improve in his game. So it's like I feel like the best foot forward for a guy like him is safety, but he's in a talented safety room. So bottom line, again, I don't want that staff's job trying to get this down to 53 guys. Good luck trying to figure out who stays and goes.
Yeah, and I feel like Bullard played his best football in the slot personally. Yep. That doesn't mean he should play in the slot this year. And, you know, because you got Nate Hobbs, and if they see him as, hey, that's the slot corner, that's the slot corner. But I feel like he played his best football there. But again, man, it takes time. It takes time for these guys to develop and kind of come into their own, you know. Yep. What year I get so caught, like once we move on from the draft, I don't see these guys as rookies or what year they're in now. What year will this be for Javon Bullard? Remind me. This will be his second
year two.
Yeah. So there's been so many great players in the league that it took that. You know, Trey Hendrickson, everybody's in love with Trey Hendrickson. He's just, you know, the sack king and blah, 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 blah. His first 3 years in the league, he was cheeks. So I've got to slow down. I'm speaking to myself. I got to slow down, stop trying to, not that I'm trying to write people off, but it's just, you move on to the next best thing. You just kind of bury them and move on, right? It's definitely not the right way to do it. So anyway, the right way to support what we do here at Packers Total Access is check out our Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Make sure if you are interested in becoming a member, there's multiple tiers, but the $3 tier gets you everything. We're going to be doing a giveaway this Saturday, giving away an autographed Lucas Van Ness rookie card. Okay. We're going to be doing that for everybody who is a member of the $3 tier. We're going to put their name on the wheel, spin that sucker live on the show Saturday night, and give that autographed rookie card away. We've got a bunch of giveaways coming up. It's just a way for us to give back to those who are supporting the channel. You get exclusive content in there, and it's also an easy way to get a hold of us and get questions into the show and all that good stuff. So go ahead, Jacob. You got anything else, man?
Well, Holmes wants to know what were the poll results.
Let's look at the poll results real quick.
And that is not the end total of Jacob's tip jar after a shift at the office. Not those poll results, right?
Well,
no, we do not want to see those poll results. That poll needs to be cleaned. I promise you that. Promise you that. All right, let's see. I think we got it right here. Let me get the screenshot up. We've got the poll results in. I wish Emilio was here so we could bask in the glory of how this poll went. Let me throw this up while we're waiting here.
Oh, my gosh.
That's Baby Billy. All right, just so you know. Here we go. Did Travis Glover show up to OTAs out of shape? Yes, 87% leading the way. And coming in second place was yes at 13.
Oh, man.
Sorry, Emilio. People have spoken.
It was the freest and fairest election of all time.
The safest election of all time. I'll just say this. There's going to be somebody go, are you spreading rumors about Travis Glover being out of shape? It was a joke. If you're new here, Emilio he's got like 16 Travis Glover jerseys. He's got the action figures. He's tore the heads off of G.I. Joe figures and put a little picture of Travis Glover on. He's really weird about Travis Glover. So it is what it is. But all right, that's it. We're out, guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow, most likely same time, 6:30 p.m. Central, unless something changes. We'll be back here to talk more OTAs, man. It's a fun time of the year for sure. Cannoli Glover, Clint said. Everybody have a great night. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go back.
There we go. We out. Bye, guys.